Ah, deconverted man here. If I could get my camera to work properly. Is it unethical or immoral to be a billionaire? There's been a number of articles and a few people tweeting about this that's come to my attention. Maybe it's not lately. And I thought, how is it immoral to have any amount of money, X amount of money, whatever that is? So is it fine if you have $1 less than a billion? Are you still a moral person, but the minute you make one more dollar, you become immoral? How does this work? Why? What is it that people are thinking is the immoral part of being a billionaire? So a couple of different articles. One starts out with this question of what you would do with a 5 billion. Forget about 5 billion. 1 billion is, I don't even know what I would do with that. Forget about that. I don't even know what I would do with 1 million. Although that would pretty much fund my entire life and then some. So they go to great trouble in this particular article talking about how long it would take you to become a billionaire. If you made 80,000 a year, it would take you 12,500 years to become a billionaire. Why would somebody need so much money? Of course, many of these billionaires are calculated to be that. They are worth that, which means they have assets that add up to that amount. So they own things that they would have to sell to do that. This other article says that the problem is that these people have built their fortune on the backs of others. That, for example, the CEO of Amazon is worth $100 billion. So, the problem is how he got his wealth. He exploited his workers. Did he? Well, depends how you figure out exploitation, I suppose. And why didn't the workers rebel and say no, or form a union, or demand better working conditions, or what have you? So it's harsh to work at Amazon, okay, and it's very unfair conditions, okay. You don't have to work at Amazon. There are other jobs out there, and if you don't seek to improve your workplace, then, well, why aren't you complaining? And if you're just complaining, that's not enough. You're going to have to start a union or something like that. And then, of course, Amazon raised its price from $10.99 to $12.99, which is almost a 20% increase. There's absolutely no reason for them to have done this besides an increase in profit and share price. Yeah, and what's immoral about that? I finally think I got the answer, is that it's not whether about the person can live comfortably, but they have more wealth than they could ever be feasibly spend in a lifetime. And they're not using it to help people that are suffering and dying. Although you don't know that they're not doing that. You're assuming that they're not doing that. And then the question would be, to what degree do they have to do that for them to no longer be unmoral in this particular viewpoint? If you had $1 billion, and you divided that among everybody in America, everybody would get $4.33, just about. That's not very good, but it's something. So if there was enough billionaires, well then, we could all be millionaires. But of course, then money would be devalued, wouldn't it? They're hoarding this money. They're not doing anything. So that's what makes them evil. And then, they're treating their employees, they're keeping slaves, and that's what's making the money or whatever. Well, look, they got to their position of power however they managed to do that. And is that unethical or immoral? It depends on what ethics, and depends on what you mean by moral. And I think that it's this appeal to emotion of they're not doing something with that money that I want them to do. Okay. My thought, I don't earn that much. I earn enough to live on, just about. And I could probably set aside a couple dollars for charity, but I don't. I don't give to anything at all. I've helped people now and again with financial things. I've paid some bills for people here and there, and but I don't regularly give, so I must be immoral because I am not using money in a way that I could use it. I'm selfish and greedy. Aren't we all selfish and greedy, no matter how much we make? If we're not actively giving to charity, and we're not helping those in need, then we must be immoral by the virtue of what these articles are saying, that because you're not helping people, that is immoral. Well, it's not just that. It's that there's no way you could use this large amount of money in your entire lifetime. Well, you could. It's just very difficult. It wouldn't be that difficult. You spend a lot of it. Run a campaign. You'll run out of money very quickly. Yeah. I'll see if it's immoral to have $1 billion. Yeah, donations accepted. Let's find out. Scientific experiment. Good. Yeah. So, if you got $1 billion from, inheritance, or you just won it, versus you earned it somehow, does that matter? Say you found something worth that amount. Or I think that it's that we always need a boogeyman. We need someone to blame, to point at and say, well, if only that person did this or didn't do that or didn't exist or whatever, then things would be better. These millionaires and billionaires, if only they gave more out to everybody, then everybody would be fine. Now, 100 billion is certainly more than 1 billion, but even if you divided that among the 3 million some odd people that we have, you still wouldn't be giving everybody a very large amount of money. This one group of rockers took all the money they made from this one hit wonder and they burned it all. And in that moment, when they killed all that money, they made the price of other money slightly worth a little bit more, but not by much. You'd have to burn probably trillions of dollars to raise the amount that a dollar is worth by any noticeable amount. But of course, then they can just make more money, right? Money is a weird thing, isn't it? You get something for doing something, and then you use that to get something else. And it just seems like we're always getting stuff. or getting rid of stuff. Or really, the thing that we want is to be able to have a comfortable life. Well, what does that mean? If you had $1 million, you wouldn't have to work, but you would, because you don't have, if you don't have anything to do, that's not very much fun. Well, and how much people could I help, but I'm not, but I don't, And of course, Zuckerberg, people like this have said, Zuckerberg said he's going to sell off his shares of Facebook over time or whatever. I would say giving them away would be nice too, but whatever. But he'll never use this massive amount of money. So he is greedy because he's not doing this thing that I want him to do. And if only he did that, maybe my life would be a little bit better. Well, really, if he gave me money, yeah, sure. If he gave everybody money, it wouldn't really amount to much. So the government stimulus check comes to mind. That $1,000, I didn't get to see it. It just went, it was gone before I even spent it. Into bills, absorbed. I didn't get to save an extra 1,000. It just was not even there, barely registered. So it would take an incredible amount of money for it to make an impact in somebody's life. And for that, you would need maybe a trillionaire. But is it just having that amount is what is immoral? Or is it that because the person isn't doing X thing that I want them to do, that's what's immoral? But under what ethical system? We don't talk about ethics. It drives me nuts. Nerdy Rowan says, we want stuff, but once you have all the stuff you need, you don't need more stuff. Well, that's true. But do you ever have all the stuff that you need or want? Depends on the person. But I don't want any. I'm happy with the stuff I have. If I could do so, I would do something that did help other people, like have an apartment complex that had very low rent. But then that has possible consequences, because then you attract certain types of people. Well, okay, I'll have security as well, and then I'll have, and so even if you try, you might succeed, but then you're basically saying, well, okay, but now you're making money on the apartment complex. You didn't need to. Well, no, maybe I'm making it so that it funds itself, because one day I'm not going to be here. So I need to build it in such a way that it funds itself. But then I have no guarantee that it's going to do that after I'm gone. So is it immoral? Well, you did this thing, but was it enough? Maybe you didn't do enough. So you could always move the goalpost back and say, well, yeah, sure, you helped out however many people and you did this and you donated here and here. But really, you have more money left, so you could keep donating. Or you didn't donate to the charity I wanted, or you didn't do this, so you're still immoral. But it's, you have this and I don't, and that's not fair, and I don't like that. So it must be your fault that my life sucks. And it might be. I don't know. Under certain ethical systems, having large amounts of anything can be seen as unethical or immoral. And in other ethical systems, having the most amount of things is the most moral thing that you could do. Is there an infinite amount of money? Good question. Depends on how the money system works. It used to be very simple, but also not. You wanted a thing, so you traded for it. Here's this sheep I want. I've got this weird guy. You want this guy. I want your sheep. Okay, great. But how is this worth a sheep every time? Maybe to somebody else it's worth 2 sheeps. Reminds me of Sellers of Catan, just about. You can trade resources with people. The bank will trade any 4 resources for 1. But that has to all be the same resource. And then you can get certain ports that are 3 for 1. But again, they have to all be the same. So if you have more than 7 resources, you don't want lots of resources in a way, because if 7 is rolled, then you lose half of everything. So you want to trade it away in a sense, and you also want to trade it for the things that you want. So that rock, that ore, is way more valuable to me right now than anything else. So I offered like 8 different things for it, which is ludicrous. But not in that moment, because I fear the roll of the 7 and I really want the ore and I can't produce it. So to me, that trade is wonderful. And that's what it is. It's just trading stuff. So somebody somewhere plays the trade, the stock market, and makes lots of money from doing that. But they aren't doing that thing that I want them to do. And that makes them immoral. Well, it might, but I don't know what their ethical system is. So are we then saying that there's some sort of ethereal, objective moral standard, as many have suggested? Well, then what is it? How does it work? What is that ethical system? And how does it function? Or are we simply saying, I don't like that these people have gotten to where they are by doing X, Y, and Z, but then you have to actually show that that's how they got to where they are. Because you don't know if you can't show. And none of these articles showed it. They just said, oh, look, Amazon treats its workers like crap, and the person that's the highest up it has the most amount of money. Therefore, he's responsible for how all these people are treated. And therefore, the way that he got his money is on the backs being broken of all these people. And so that's immoral. Okay, under certain ethical systems, you're right, but under others, you're wrong. Ultimately, it's an exchange. And the idea of money has changed over time. That it was there to make bartering easier. That instead of sometimes this is worth 1 sheep and sometimes it's worth 10, and now it's just worth a coin, and then that coin is you need 5 of those coins to be worth a sheep, but then, well, who decides? Well, the market decides. So it's still not. It just changed it, though. It changed. So instead of it being arbitrary based on the item, it's arbitrary based on this other meta thing. So, wow, that's weird stuff. But is it immoral to have X amount of money? Or is it immoral to not have X amount of money? And why? What is the argument that you want to make for that? An appeal to emotion certainly can change minds, but it's not valid or sound. And unless you show each and every step to show that, yes, this person has treated these people badly to earn this amount of money, then you could have an actual argument based on that. But you're still going to have to outline what ethical system you're using to say that under that ethical system they're immoral. And maybe you could even go to the work of showing under every or many ethical systems that it's immoral. That would be an interesting discussion. But that doesn't happen in articles. certainly you couldn't do it on Twitter. It's really only on this sort of thing or in books where you have the opportunity to make that longer form argument. And I want to see it because I'm interested to know. If you think it's immoral, why? Explain. So it would be nice if those that had more did more. And I have no idea how much they already do or how many jobs they make or whatever. No idea. I don't know what that life is like. They could help me to find out. And of course, we could, hypothetically speaking, there's 2, 3. So there's 4 of us right now. We've got 6 people watching. So that's 7, including myself. So there's 7 of us. And hypothetically, we could all get together, throw all our money together, and we'd have way more than we do now. We could get a single living place and agree to live there and then use that small amount of wealth to help other people. But we're not going to do that. You want to move? You want to get a house together? Maybe you do, but I doubt it. I just, so I could then make an argument, well, because none of us is willing to do that, then we're all immoral because if we only did this thing, then we would have a wealth and we could then use that wealth to help other people. And because we're not going to do it, then we're all immoral. Well, that's not a very good argument. But it is, in a sense, still an appeal to emotion. If we did this thing, we would have more money at our disposal than we do now. If we had one single dwelling, and it's not that big, there's a room, there's a bed, we're bunk beds, whatever, we have a kitchen, we have, it's not like a mansion, it's just, a small house. It's big enough to fit people in, but it's not what you would say is a space. It's one of those kind of like a tiny home or something, and so that we don't waste money on that. And then we use the extra money that we have because we, have certain bills or whatever. Great. Okay. We figure out the food thing or whatever, but then we use the rest. Well, how are we going to spend it? Well, maybe we could hire a chef to make the food for us. We could hire somebody to get the food for us, and that gives people a job. But that's still serving us, but it's also helping other people. So what is it that we would need to do that would make us moral? But then none of us are going to do it anyways because it's just not a thing that you can get 7 people to agree to. Well, maybe you can, and if you can, more power to you. It'd be interesting. I've seen there is a house like this. Actually, I think that they have they all live together in this big giant house, and they all do streaming video games for a living, and they do some other stuff too. But they're all YouTubers basically, and they're like professional video game players or whatever. So they're always doing video games or streaming YouTube or whatever. And they're creating different kinds of content. And they could do crossovers with each other because they're in the same location. And, well, they're making enough to have that big house, but they're not using the rest of that money to help other people. So that's immoral. But man, that makes me feel immoral because what little I could spend, I don't. So why not? Am I greedy, or is it just that I'm really not at a place where I could afford to do it? I don't know. I don't have those answers. Maybe you do, or maybe you have some ideas. Nerdy wants to do it. Yeah. Dibs on the master bed. Yeah. And I'm not doing any of this to make any of us feel bad. I'm asking these questions because it's interesting, this idea that being a billionaire is immoral. That's an interesting thing to me. And it's an interesting thing that lately, well, maybe it's not lately, but it feels to me lately that I've seen more and more arguments be of morality types, appeals to emotion, than about data, science, facts, or whatever. Instead of saying, like, if we did this, then things would improve. Like, you know, whatever that is. Like, demand, if the people that work at Amazon, we all are aware that their conditions suck. Okay, what has anybody done about it? Has anyone done anything about those conditions other than just say, hey, look, they suck? Okay, well, that's one thing, but did you write Amazon? Did you, make a petition to say change the way that things work? Did you do anything to change it? And if not, then aren't you just as guilty of not doing the thing that you could have hypothetically done as the other person is guilty? I don't know. If we all did do that whole work together thing, it would be interesting to try to figure out how that would work. If somebody has more money than the other people, they're contributing more to the pie, and so then therefore there's a hierarchy, and well, we're not going to do that. So we're going to do how the politics of it is very difficult. If everybody globally all said, the heck with money, we're all just going to work because it needs to be done. And as far as getting items went, maybe we stopped worrying about that. That would change things, though, because people make items. So what would that mean? If you're not acquiring the statue that somebody made, they're just making statues for the sake of making statues. You can't put them out of work because they're working for no money. What does that mean? In Star Trek, they have nobody has money, but then they have credits. So there is money, but there isn't. It's weird. But then you have this replicator that can make anything. So they still value items, but they value it in a different way. I don't know. It's weird. Well, anyways, those are my questions. No real answers here, just asking the question, is it immoral to be a billionaire? Is it immoral to be a millionaire? At what point does it, what is it about that? Is it that you're not helping people, or that you're not helping a certain amount of people, or what is this? Because these emotional arguments, I don't care for them. Anyways, other questions in chat. Was Robin Hood immoral? Maybe, yeah. I mean, stealing from the rich to give to the poor. Okay. You're taking something that isn't yours and you're giving it to somebody else. Now, you're thinking, well, that will make their life better. But actually, you've made them a criminal by, under certain laws. They could say, well, we know that all of you poor people now have more money, so we're just going to raise the taxes. Because we know that we're getting stolen from. So we're just going to raise the taxes. And then what? You're going to keep stealing from us? Well, okay, so our coffer now is empty, but we still have the power. And therefore, until we get that money back, we're not going to leave you guys alone, and we're going to harass you for the money and take it back. And it's just going to go back and forth, and nobody's going to get anything done. So he could be immoral under that. But the idea was taking back what was wrongly taken. There's a nobility there because they weren't taking what they needed. They were taking more than they should. They were taxing unfairly, and that's why he was robbing, to take back the extra amount that shouldn't have been taken. It's immoral to claim that you've earned $1 billion. Why? Why is it immoral to say we earned anything? Like, I don't know. Have I earned anything? I don't know. That's like, how do you earn respect? Now that is worth more than money, isn't it? Is respect worth more? Or, I mean, anyways, so I think I'm now going to be going on tangents if I keep going. It's just something that came to mind that maybe you found interesting to think about. And a lot of you had some good stuff in chat, so I appreciate that. However, as much as I appreciate all the chat, if you don't comment on the video when it's actually a video, YouTube doesn't care how many people said anything in chat, so it doesn't count. And so that's like the money of YouTube is your comments and your likes and your subscription. That's your paying in that way. Because I don't ask for money, and I did at one point, but I don't anymore. And as long as I don't need it, I won't. And if I start asking for money, well, then I need it. Well, that's not entirely true, because I'm going to be asking for money for the book that I have published. Yes, it's done. It's out. So this is also now an announcement for that, I guess. Yeah, my book is done, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Let's make sure that I have the right link for it. I'm going to do a proper announcement. Chill the bleep out of it. And plus, we're having an issue with the author of the book being listed as Dan Green, which is correct. But then Dan Green is an actual author, so it pointed to somebody that wasn't me. But all money from the book will go to lobsters. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know if any book of it will sell even, so I don't know. Oh, hey, there's a book that's kind of like my book, in the terms of what it was called. Oh man. Oh man, now this is me looking at my own book because I didn't book. Yeah, okay, well, got rid of the Dan Green being the wrong Dan Green. All right, great, cool. I'll put it in chat. Anyone want? Whoa, look at that! What the hell kind of link is that? Oh, come on, there's got to be a better link than that. That's too big. There we go. I think that should work. Let me know if that works. See? No, can't find that page. Blasted. No. How do I need a smaller. How do I get a smaller link? Yeah. I mean, this link is way too big to put into chat. So, like, there's. I don't know what I'm doing. So, I think now's a good time to end this. Thank you all for your participation, your time, and your energy, and for adding to the contents of my brain with your various ideas. Hopefully, I've made you think of stuff. And whenever I figure out how to announce my book properly, I'll do that sometime soon. Obviously, I don't know how to do it right now. Like, like I still, no. Yeah. So sorry we couldn't find that page. I'll figure it out. All right. Thanks for watching, and I might do this again. See you in a bit. I'll be on my Discord if you want me. If you want to talk to me. Also, if you want me. So, bye.